25 years ago, I sold my soul to the devil to become a corporate executive. I quit it all to play the blues. My name is Tom The Suit Forst, and this is Chasing the Blues. Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Chasing the Blues. Today I am very excited to have an acclaimed guitar player and vocalist, Mike Zito, who, by the way, I am also a fan of. And you will find that he is number one, or was number one, on the Billboard's top blues album charts, which is a big deal. So, hey, how are you, Mike?
I'm doing really good. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing great. Little early for me, but probably early for you as well.
Well, I'm home right now, and 10:30 is pretty good. I've been up since 6:30. I've got kids that have to go to school and all that kind of stuff. So,
and
if it was the road, I might have a different story.
And you call yourself a musician? Come on.
Yeah, I know.
So, on the personal side, how many kids do you have?
I have 5 children total, and 2 little ones still at home here. So,
holy mackerel. That's amazing. I have 3, and mine are adults, so it's a little different for me, boy. My hat's off to you. How do you balance? Because, and we're going to talk about this in a few minutes. You're constantly touring, and you're heading all over the planet. That must be really something to balance all of that for you.
Sure. It's not near. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't really know another way, so this is all I know. It's not like I did something else normal before, and now I do this, and it's really, oh my God, how do we do it? This is all I've ever done, so I don't really know how it's done any other way. One, I am married, and I have longtime partner in all of this with my wife, and she's a school teacher. And, so we have two of the youngest kids still at home. The kids range from 23 years old to 8 years old. So I've got college students, somebody on the way to college, so we got different things, but it's definitely a team effort here on everyone's part. And, I guess we always relate it to, where I live, there's a lot of, oil business. There's a lot of workers that work out on the rigs, and they're gone 2 weeks at a time, and so it's kind of similar. I mean, I'm generally not gone for months at a time. Usually, I go for 10 days or 2 weeks, and then I come home, and I'm home for a couple weeks, and then I go again for a week, and then I come home for a week, and then I'm gone. So it's kind of back and forth, and much more manageable today than it was 10 years ago. Sure.
But I have to say, because I have a very similar lifestyle as you do, touring and then coming back, and I've been married for 43 years. I have to just say that your wife has got to be an amazing woman.
Oh, absolutely. She certainly is.
No, that's fantastic. My hat's off to you, too, for having 5 children. So let's talk about some music here. You have had a tour called First Class Life.
Yeah.
And how is that tour? Is it tour? It said it was a summer tour, so I wasn't sure if it's over at this point.
Well, it's funny they have those tours. To me, I mean, it's an all year round affair. I mean, we're in the blues, so I'm working. I'm always kind of out. Playing and working and hitting the clubs. If it's in the fall, I'm in the clubs. If it's in the summer, we're at the festivals. But it's certainly not like a big rock act where we have a tour and it's going to be 3 months long and then the tour's over.
Right.
The tour is never over.
Yes.
It's just consistently, working for a living. So the new album came out in May, and we'll be pushing that First Class Life album, for into next fall. Just we have to go out there door to door and beat it down. And that's what I love. I love playing. I got into this because I like the music and I like to play. I don't know what I would do if I finished the tour for 3 months and was off for 9 months or something weird like that. That would seem odd.
Well, you have this First Class Life is your 15th album, correct?
That is correct.
Wow,
yes,
that's a lot of albums, Mike. You must have started when you were, what, 5?
Well, I'll be 48 this month, and so I put my first record out when I was in 1998. So I was about 27 when my first actual album of original music came out. So over that past 20 years, we've made there's been 15 recordings. Some independent recordings early on when I was, trying to get out there and get going, and a few live ones here and there. Also with the Royal Southern Brotherhood, which I was a founding member of that band.
Right.
So, there's a lot of different things there, but over 20 years, we, in the most capacity, I've put out 15 albums, and I'm really proud of it. I'm really lucky I get to do what I do, and at the same time, all my heroes I see, like Walter Trout and people I know. Man, Walter's done way more, way more. I think something like 25 albums in 22 years or something crazy like that,
That's like Bonamassa.
So, oh my gosh, right.
Yeah.
Well, in this day and age, more and more, it's less and less. I mean, it's hard to put a record out and sell 1 million records. Of course, that doesn't ever really happen in blues. But
I was going to say, are there 1 million blues fans?
Yeah. But, the idea is that, say maybe, back in the 1990s, you could put a record out and it would sell 50,000 copies, 100,000 records or something in a couple of years. But now, it'll sell, if you're doing really well, like say a Joe Bonamassa or somebody bigger, Buddy Guy, maybe it sells 50,000 in a couple of years. Or it seems like you have to put more records out,
right,
to keep the fire going.
Well, Bonamassa supposedly is worth $10 million.
Yeah, I certainly believe it. I mean, this thing that we do, and he knows it as well as anyone or more. He's been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
This is not overnight success. Although the rest of the world might think, man, in the past 5, did you hear about this new guy, Bonamassa? Because in the past 5 or 6 years, it seems he's really become this iconic thing. But he's been doing this since he's like 12 or something.
Yeah, no, I know he has.
For a long, long time. And I can think of the times he would come through St. Louis where I grew up, and he's playing for 30, 40 people. And, that went on for far longer than playing for, 3,000 people or whatever. And he'd tell you the same thing. So it's kind of a rubber band effect.
It's like being an overnight success after 20 years.
Right. I mean, it's really this rubber band effect where, for the longest time you're working, and then it just starts to catch up with you. And then all of a sudden this momentum just kind of goes forward. And so, for someone like Joe, and you tell me that, I certainly believe that. I mean, they've got an amazing business plan, and he's worked really hard. And
great marketer. Great marketer.
Yeah.
Exception
to the rule by far.
So, Mike, a lot of our listeners, beside being blues enthusiasts, are musicians themselves, and there's this. I guess I'll call it conventional wisdom nowadays. You get the guy that says, I've got to put out an album, 10 songs, couple of covers in there, etc. Then you get the other group that said, no, albums are dead, man. You got to just put out singles. Just keep putting out singles. What's your take on that, Mike?
Well, uh, I don't know. I have no idea, really. I really don't. I always think I'm young, but I'm almost 50. So my thinking is from probably where you're thinking it's from. It's from the 70s and 60s and 70s and 80s, and you make an album, and that's all I've ever wanted to do since I was a kid, was make albums and tell stories. So I mean, I know that, like, in the 50s, that was a big thing. They didn't really even make albums. You made singles. I mean, not until really the late 60s into the 70s was it like, no, we're making an album. We want to make the whole album. So I don't know. Singles to me don't do anything in the blues world, as far as I can tell. I mean, if we were making pop music or country music, something that was extremely popular, hip hop, maybe that makes sense to do a song and get a song out there and try to work that song to become a hit. But I mean, when was the last time a blues song was a hit? It's been a long time. So core fans, we're working with a core fan base, and sure, there's, it's becoming more popular again. It's going to come back through this phase right now, where blues is it's on the up, but it's never going to be on the up like country music. So it's hard enough. It's so easy to get music for free these days.
Yeah.
Blues fans, to me, I would assume blues fans want an album. They want at least 10 songs. They want new material. They have their artists they like. And, I would always be making records to give them more. And that's another thing. I mean, they're still willing to buy a record from you in the blues.
Yeah.
We can still sell a CD. And if you sell the physical CD live and in person and sign it for them and take a picture and stop and have a chat, and they'll pay you way more for it than any other genre. I don't know, maybe jazz.
Yeah, I bet
they're
you're
more
right.
than willing.
I think you're right on that.
They'll give you $20 at a festival for a CD, and know that, well, I could listen to it for free on Spotify, or I can buy it for $10 on iTunes. But there's this roots supportive thing that here's the artist. I know this guy. We like his music. He's out here working. He's going to sign it. He's going to say hello, and they're more than happy to do that. They probably don't even play the CD anymore. Most cars don't have CD players.
I was just going to say that. I literally, the first time I heard this was last year. I'm at a festival, and I said, well, would you like a CD? And he said, CD? I don't even have a CD player. And I was just, I was nonplussed.
I can show CDs to kids every now and then. Somebody's got their son or daughter at a festival, and they're 10 years old or younger, and their father's not a musician. And I go, have you ever seen one of these? And they'll go, no, what's that? And I'll say, oh, this is.
Do you do LPs?
Very retro. What's that?
Do you have, when you do shows or when you launch a new album, do you actually do an LP? Do you press?
Yeah, Roof Records is big into pressing vinyl. The label's based in Germany, and one of the things is that vinyl is very popular in Germany and in Europe, but extremely popular in Germany. So First Class Life was not pressed on vinyl. The album before that was pressed on vinyl. The two albums before that was on vinyl, and we get something new that we're working on for fall of 2019. So we decided we would put that on vinyl. So I have two albums in the past 5 years out on vinyl, and it's very popular. Not as popular as CDs. I mean, we still sell more CDs than anything. Or downloads. But believe it or not, I was at a big convention this year for all kinds of distribution through my record. And, no matter what anyone believes, CDs are still the number one form of music sold, and more than ever before.
Wow.
Even though we think all this other stuff is going on, when people buy music, they buy CDs over any other form.
Wow. I'm still on 8 tracks, Mike. So for me,
Yeah,
this is all new technology. I don't know. So, I am a fan. I really am. I'll tell you why. You do have a sensibility of some people that I know, and I don't want to say you sound like them. I'll say they sound like you, like Walter Trout, who I think is an amazing musician, and like you,
absolutely.
I think it's less about what you play, but more about how you play it. And I'm sure you do this too. I'll team up with some other guitar player, and I'll be on stage, and I'll be thinking, seriously, you're just gonna throw the kitchen sink in there from day one and play on 11, and it's nothing but speed. You know what I mean? It's nothing but speed these days, and yet you got guys like, B.B. King that nobody seems to remember, did not play like lightning, but he played, but he did play like lightning.
They've been,
What's
there's
that?
been music. I know it sounds, I'm not trying to disagree with you. I totally hear you. There's been musicians like that since there was music. We always gravitate. I, like you, gravitate to want to play more musically, but certainly I had times, especially when I was younger. Trust me, there's still a part of me that wishes I could play as fast as possible, but I can't. And it also doesn't sound as good to me anymore if it's not somewhat musical. I always think now, like, well, if you're going to play that much or that, man, it better be good. Like, better be really good. It better have something to say. So there's always been, people like that. And I'm a firm believer that a lot of the blues musicians and guitar players that we love, they would have liked to have done more too. It's like everybody works with what they got. And I do agree, though. I mean, nowadays, or really, I think all my life, there's always just been, guys really playing fast. There's nothing wrong with playing fast if you can make it musical.
Yeah.
If it's just, and that just comes from, I think, me being older. If you can make it music, if it means something. I mean, like I watched Joe Bonamassa, he could certainly play much faster than I, but it doesn't ever not sound like music. I mean, he always sounds really good.
Yeah.
But of course, guys that come out to maybe to jams or that's just part of the whole thing. That's part of growing up. That I had to get past. You immediately gravitate to the. I remember being a kid and getting a guitar at 8 years old, and it was 1978, and I'd just gotten the first Van Halen record, and I was like, okay, I need to play guitar like that guy. It was like, well, nobody plays guitar like that guy. Like,
right.
The last guy that played guitar like that guy was Jimi Hendrix or something. I mean, that's unobtainable, and you're missing everything in between. I mean, this guy didn't just learn to play like that. I mean, he learned to play guitar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lifelong process, and so and every time I ran into the next guitar player, Johnny Winter, Danny Gatton, Roy Buchanan, any of these guitar players that really turn my ear, I want to play just like them. Like, well, good luck, because they're grown men, that have been playing guitar all their life. So, I missed, I immediately tried to learn to play those things. And I worked at a guitar shop, everybody came in the store could play Eruption, but nobody knew how to play chords. they learned this two-handed tapping technique that Eddie Van Halen had come up with over 20 years, but they didn't know chords. So you're missing whole musical content of what he's doing. And it's the same way now. I mean, guys watch Bonamassa, they watch all these other great guitar players, and they learn the really fast riff, but they have no idea what the context is.
Well, it's a space. One thing I love about yours, and by the way, people who are listening, Mike Zito is not a slow guitar player, so don't get the idea. I mean, you can play quite fast. But what I notice about you most, and this is what I talk to guitar players about, which is my passion, and that's you got to have a story, and your music is like a voice. It is a voice. And,
right.
and that story needs to be told. And what I hear in your playing is a lot of emotion, a great use of dynamics, by the way, very soulful, which is all there is with blues. When you have a phrase that says, "Hey, I left my baby," and then you repeat, "Hey, I left my baby," that can really be boring. And if you don't sing it well, and if you don't play it well.
And honestly, you bring up a good point. If this didn't really happen, if you can't equate what you're singing to some kind of actual emotion, then it doesn't really resonate. It doesn't mean that everything you sing has to be absolute fact, but if you can't get behind it, if you can't put something behind it deeper than just performance, it just it's lacking.
Yeah.
The words can be simple, but they're not effective. You're not really doing anything.
You are also not a faker on slide. I consider myself quite an accomplished guitar player, but I am what they call a faker on slide. I get it done, but when I listened to yours, I said, no. This is a guy that's a real deal. He didn't just pick up the slide and know that you got to go a little beyond the fret.
Well, listen, thank you. I appreciate that. I love slide, and slide's it's a really funny, interesting thing for me. Because again, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and there's not a lot of slide going on.
No, except for like you had said it, Johnny Winter, some of those guys.
Johnny Winter, Foghat,
yeah.
In fact, really, I'm thinking Johnny Winter might be, although there might be a Van Halen record where he played some slide, like on one song.
Really?
But I think Johnny Winter is one of the first times where I heard it and was like, now what is that? Like, I know he's not using his fingers.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't kind of quite figure it out yet. And then I saw that he had a picture and he had this metal ring thing on. And I was like, oh, he's like sliding that thing up and down. But it was not popular during those decades of popular guitar playing. So it didn't really hit me then. And I worked at a guitar store, and I think, I started there in 89 for 10 years. So somewhere in there, all these great musicians were coming to the store. And there were guys that could play slide guitar and played around town. And I was, like, wow. But I would try to play then. I had no idea. So I cannot tell. I have not been playing slide for 25 years.
But it really sounds, I got to tell you, man, you bring a lot of emotion to, and I'm talking about live, bring a lot of emotion to your slide playing. So let me ask you, I got to know this. This is important. We started off a little differently talking about your personal life. I want to know how drunk you were when you had blues tattooed across your picking hand.
Well, I'll tell you, I haven't drank for 15 years.
Okay.
So there's no, but I used to drink a lot. But I haven't had a drink for 15 years. So I can tell you I didn't have any alcohol when I got this tattoo. But I will tell you, it's a pretty good story because I guess it was 2006, and I was about 3 years sober, and was had made another independent record and was getting back out and really playing. We were doing traveling. I was playing casinos in Nevada, and we were like traveling from Texas and going to blues jams and sending this CD out to Alligator and Delta Groove Records and just, trying to get something going. I really believed I could do it this time around sober and was feeling good. And so, of course, I already had some tattoos. We were playing in Sturgis, and I was really excited about this. And I had this idea for a while, and I had told my wife that I wanted to get this tattoo on my hand that said blues. But the idea was it was very small. It was like, it was supposed to be, you go to a blues club and they stamp your hand. You go to a club, they stamp your hand.
Sure.
And pay
Sure.
And it was going to be like that. Like, that was my idea, was this stamp, a permanent stamp. There, sideways, it's like I got my hand stamped at a club. And she was not sold on the idea because it was on my hand, and I was playing music, but we didn't have any record deals. We weren't, and I think her thought was, the other tattoos, you can put a long sleeve shirt on and go to work, and you can get a job. But if you did this one, well, man, you may not even go, places may not hire you. So I was pretty decided on it, though, because it was like, in my head, I thought, I'm doing this because this is what I'm going to do. I'm definitely not getting a job.
Yeah, you're cutting the bridge, man. You're
right.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, long story short, we went to this place there outside of Sturgis, and it was, because they have a big tattoo convention there also. And so I went to this place, and I went in, and I started talking to this guy. This guy was really outlandish. And I think I remember his name was Pastor Wren, something crazy like that.
Oh, great.
Like he was an ordained minister or something, giving tattoos, big long beard. And when he looked at me when I came in, and he said, "You're here for something." And I said, "I am." And I told him, and he looked at me and he said, "Wait right here." And he left, and he came back out, and he had the one on my hand. He had it all drawn up. He said, "This is what you came for, son." And I said, "Oh no, that's like way too big. I can't get that. My wife will kill me." And he just looked at me and he said, "This is why you're here." He said, "This is what you believe in." He said, "This is the tattoo you're going to get." And I was like, "What is wrong with this person? It's crazy." It's like, I said, "No, man, I can't get that. I'm telling you, my wife will leave me." He said, "Well, I'm sorry. That's the only tattoo I'm giving you today."
Wow.
He said, "And trust me, it's the one you came for." And I was like, what is wrong with this guy? And I kind of walked around a second, and it just got in me, and I turned around, and he goes, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm ready." And then that was it. and I can tell you, for about a week, she didn't talk to me. She was very upset. She was very upset, like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna have a baby, and this guy's not gonna be able to." Today, she would tell you that that's her favorite tattoo.
Yeah, well, that is a great story, and boy, you are a lot braver husband than I am. I got to tell you. So let me ask you something. I understand that you got an interesting story about your song "Mama Don't Like No Wawa."
I do, yeah. You know what? That's a fun one. And these days, writing songs, I really I'm trying to find some. It can be a fun song like "Mama Don't Like No Wawa," but it's still got to have something there. And so I'm always looking for an idea. Mm-hmm. And I got lucky enough this past year to work with Bernard Allison. Mm-hmm. and we did this 2018 Blues Caravan for Roof Records. So that was great. And last year in September, we were taking photos, and I was telling them about this idea for a new record I was going to be doing, and we were just talking, and then the story came up that he was playing guitar when he was really, really young, and his dad would have him play with him. But really, his first gig professionally was he played guitar for Coco Taylor,
right?
And he was, I think, 16 or 17 years old, when he started, and so he got, his first gig was he went on tour with Pops and Coco Taylor and the band, played guitar, and it's like, wow, that's unbelievable, And he said, that's where he really learned to cut his teeth, because it was real strict, and she wanted things this way, and you couldn't use any tricks or effects or she just wanted you to take the guitar, plug the guitar in the amp. You play the guitar, that's the way it sounds. And it was the 80s, and he's young, and, guitar effects are just becoming such a thing.
Right.
And really, they don't want him to use any or nothing. So I guess he said after a couple months, he kind of snuck I think he said it was a compressor or a chorus pedal or something. I don't know. But he got something and brought it on stage, put it on the amp, and he thought, well, they'll never know. And, of course, she almost immediately recognized that it didn't sound right. She didn't know what they were called. She didn't know. Only pedal she ever knew was a wah-wah from the 60s, and she knew she didn't like wah-wahs. So whatever this thing was that you plugged in between the guitar and the amp, didn't matter if it was a wah-wah or not, but what it did to her, it was a wah-wah. So she didn't like him. And so she turned around and called him and said, hey, I don't want to say exactly what she said, but she said, hey, turn that off. Mama don't like no wah-wah. I mean, to me, I was like, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I said, that's a song. Mama don't like no wah-wah. Oh my God. And Bernard started laughing. He said, man, that's not a song. How can that be a song? I said, man, can I write it? And he said, yeah. He said, if you think you can write it, go ahead. So I just thought, well, what a great song. So it's a song about Bernard being a young man playing guitar with Coco Taylor, and she don't like no wah-wah. So
that's
turn
great.
It off.
That's
so
Yeah, I think you should have added the expletive in the title, but that's me, Mike. So Mike Zito, great guitar player, excellent vocalist. I know that one of your songs, "Roll On," was featured on Sons of Anarchy. That's fantastic. You were #1 in Billboard. How can people hear you, Mike? Where can they go to be sure that they're going to be checking out your 15 albums?
Well, they're almost all available on iTunes, of course, and on Amazon. And we're proudly streamed on Spotify and Apple Music.
Okay.
Excuse me, Pandora, and any of those things. And I don't deter anyone from, I want people to hear the music, so please. But we do also have an online store. My website is MikeZito.com.
MikeZito.com. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
My wife runs the online store. You can go on there and order a CD, and I'll sign it for you, and she'll stick it in the mail. So we do old school like that also. And, of course, everything is on YouTube as well. So there's plenty of options to check it out.
Okay.
And I hope you do.
First of all, tell your wife how much I admire her, and if she would like to get together with my wife and have one of those support groups, she should feel free. Everybody, you've been listening.
My wife,
what's that?
No, I'll say my wife could definitely run a support group for the wives of musicians. Yeah.
Well, tell her we said hello, and we appreciate her helping you help the world hear some great blues. This is Tom The Suit Forst, and this is ChasingTheBluesPodcast.com. Make sure you check it out. Thanks so much, Mike, and we'll be contacting you again.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right, take care, buddy. Chasing the Blues is recorded at Factory Underground Studios in Norwalk, Connecticut. You can learn more about Factory Underground at factoryundergroundstudio.com. And connect with me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Tom The Suit Forst. You can find my music, tour dates, merch, and more on tomthesuitforst.com. Thank you for listening.
Till my back ain't got no more. You gotta roll me, pretty baby, just like a wagon wheel. You gotta roll me, pretty baby, just like a wagon wheel. Roll me, pretty baby. You know how you make me feel. Oh yeah. You gotta rock me, pretty baby. You gotta rock me all night long. You gotta rock me, pretty baby. Rock me all night long. You gotta rock me, pretty baby. You know how you make me feel so strong. You gotta roll me, pretty baby, just like a wagon wheel. You gotta roll me, pretty baby. Oh, you know how you make me feel. You gotta roll me, pretty baby. Know how you make me feel. You gotta rock me, pretty baby.